I am here with Joe Putignano, who has had a very tough road and a lot of obstacles thrown in his way. He's written a book called Acrobatic, which I encourage everyone watching this and their friends to buy this. This book is not simply about one addiction. It is about one person's struggle to overcome what he was put into, and also, showing that he had dreams the whole way. And, he was very into gymnastics as a younger kid. He's in circus to slay. He had a lot of obstacles to come across and conquer. And I really want to just turn the floor over to you because I find you so fascinating.
Thank you.
And your story will inspire everyone,
Thank you.
regardless of what their addiction is or what their low self-worth is. You're incredible, so just take it away.
Thank you. I come from Boston, Massachusetts, so if I have an accent, that's where it comes from. I wrote this book because I really wanted to inspire other people who are going through either depression or addiction or even lost their own dreams. I know for me, because of my addiction, I had put all of my dreams on the back burner, and I never thought I'd be able to come back to it. I was actually writing a different book, and a friend of mine who I admire creatively suggested I write my story because, I was a homeless heroin addict and was a Klonopin, which is a benzodiazepine addict, alcoholic. And I got back to performing and obtaining the dreams I once had. So he suggested I write this book to try and help other people. And it seemed like a huge mountain to climb. And once I began writing it, I remember what that felt like to really hate myself, to judge myself, to look in the mirror every day and see the things I didn't like about who I was. And I had worked really hard to change those things. So I wanted to show a spectrum of where one person goes from their darkness and into their light.
Or gets covered in ice.
Yes. So I really tried to remember all those feelings of self-doubt, and because I wanted the reader to identify with that, so they could understand, like, yes, I feel that too, or I'm lonely all the time as well. Because I think as people, we often feel like other people have it all, going great or going well. But the truth is we don't. We're human beings. And
Well, just to interject, if anybody reads this book and doesn't relate to it on any level whatsoever, they're not reading the book. They're flying through the pages, and there's just so much candor and of what you've gone through, and you make the reader feel like they're going through it as they're reading it, or being a part of what you were going through, like being next to you. So
yeah, it was important to do that because I know one of the sentences in my book, I said I felt like I was a translation for pain. And this is interesting. When I grew up, a lot of people said love is the universal language, and to me, pain is the universal language, because it's through pain, or when I see other people in pain, that I actually have compassion. And the word compassion means to suffer with. And that brings me to a place of love, but that to me is where I actually relate to another human being, when I can see their struggles, and it tells a much deeper story than love to me. So I really wanted to focus in on that with other humans, to kind of say, I'm not happy where I am, I can change also, because I'm not special. I basically did what was suggested of me.
Well, there are self-help books out there for people. Obviously, this addiction and most addictions are not something you can cure on your own. But reading your story, while somebody I don't think may necessarily be able to cure themselves, they may get the courage to seek help. And so that voice that you provide is infinitely more valuable than any self-help book you can read. And just the fact that you can read books by people who have gone through it, and you don't know how much rings true. I know obviously you have to change some facts, but this book is not that. This book is brutally honest. I mean, you crucify yourself literally in the book.
You know.
You don't sugarcoat what you've done. You don't sugarcoat your embarrassment from it. You don't sugarcoat your feelings from growing up. I mean, this book is like literally mind-blowing to read. And did you realize when you were writing it that it would have that effect on people? And also, how much courage did it take to do?
I actually didn't realize the effect it would have. To answer your first question, it did take a lot of courage, and I didn't know. I don't want to say the word courage because I didn't know that's what it was as I was doing it. I was only trying to recreate exactly what I felt, which is really interesting because there was a lot of times, because I was on a lot of substances that make you forget. I had journals, and I would go back, and I still have them. It's extremely painful to. You can open up any page, and it's terrifying to read. You know, it really is. And in reading that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, they were all desperate prayers. Like, it's like, and I'm not a religious person, but it was like, dear God, I want to die. I can't stop shooting heroin, please. You know, day 5, and then you open up day 40, and it's the same thing. The same thing. It goes through 7 years of that. Different substances, different relationships. So that I don't know if I want to call that courage, but I didn't have a choice. You know, I didn't know how else to write, because it came. The honest truth is, this came from my heart. You know, it really did. Like, if I had a child, this is it. It was absolutely pulled from me. So, I mean, it's great to hear that you feel that way about it, because that was what my hope in doing it.
Well, it won't be a solo observation. Anybody who reads it is going to have the same reaction. Now, you went on to perform and surf, and you talk about in the book how hard it was for you to do the gymnastics, but then found a way to somehow do gymnastics almost perfectly by experimenting with different things to bring you up and down and focused and not focused, and you know, it's just such an amazing. It's a mind-blowing but dangerous thing that you were able to do that. And you are very candid about the fact that you were homeless. Was that your lowest point for you, that you were homeless and didn't?
Yes, I mean, on an external level, yeah. I mean, I didn't have a place to go, but internally, no. My greatest lows were the fact that I kept failing at trying to get clean. What else do you do? I mean, I lost everything. I lost my friends and family. I had no self-esteem, and that, which we call like spiritual bankruptcy. Like, that's the place where I was inside. I was dead. So it was really difficult to get back to athletics. I mean, if you imagine, I don't look as I did then, but I was really skinny and I had no muscle tone. I hadn't been in the sport for a long time. Gymnastics is the type of thing you need to do consistently to stay, to stay strong and flexible, and to really hone your skills. If I knew, I don't want to say this, but I'm going to. If I knew how hard the work was going to be, I probably wouldn't have done it, but I did. I remember I used to work at the New York Times on 43rd. And I used to go and get high on my lunch break. But when I got clean, I stopped doing that. And I would go in the copy room, and I would pile up boxes of the copy paper, and I'd put my leg up on it and stretch on my lunch break, because I was so desperate to become something else, and I knew I had to put the same energy that I put into destroying my life into saving it. And I only say that because people who read it, yeah, maybe they're not gymnasts, maybe they are musicians or artists or dancers. You can go back to that. it may not appear the way you want it to, because me returning to performance, I didn't do it as an ego thing. I didn't do it like I did when I was training for as a gymnast, to be the best, to go to the Olympics. That was an ego-driven passion of mine. I went back because I love this, because this is what makes me me. So it's like I threw out the ego, and I just showed up and said, okay, well, I'm going to be really bad at this because, I was homeless. I haven't done this in a long time, and I'm going to allow myself to be terrible. And in doing that, it just slowly, I got better and better and better, along with the sobriety. My first real performance job was on Broadway with Twilight Farr. Yep. And I still will never believe that she hired me, because looking around the room at the other dancers, like they were perfect in every way. I was not. So I feel like she gave me a chance that I did not deserve. However, her doing that gave me the ability to kind of see a little bit in myself that I didn't before. Like, okay, well, if she thinks I can do this, then maybe I can. So, and these are things I call graces. Every once in a while, someone throws us a grace, and we take it. And it was in that moment that I started to see this dream I had abandoned start to grow again. And it escalated and escalated, and I did have one relapse after that, after 2 years, which doesn't have to happen, but it can be normal. It was when the show closed, and it was in retrospect unusual to shoot heroin in a Broadway theater.
Yeah, I would say
A
probably.
part of me still kind of thinks it's whatever, but interesting, I'll use the word, but it was also heartbreaking, because I felt like I was giving my gift back, and I love her more than anything. She's brilliant. But that relapse was important because it taught me that this doesn't go away. My disease, my addiction, it's chronic, it's progressive and fatal. Chronic means it's forever. So it was important to to live that truth. And then it was like, okay, well, you have an option. You can go back to that lifestyle, which is terrible, or you can try again. Because we have to see that people fail. We're going to fail no matter who you are out there. You have to continue to get up, even when you're exhausted. And if that's anything I can say in my book, that's what I did. And as I say, I'm not special. I just kept getting up. And today I do the same. I mean, I still fall down on my face. And I kept, I kept at it, and that's how I got into Cirque.
And how long have you been clean?
I will have 7 years in March.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I never imagined this.
Especially being in New York, being around entertainers, or there's obviously not a stigma attached to entertainers and actors, but there's obviously drug use that is rampant within the entertainment and every industry. It's not just that, but what I'm saying is, for somebody who went through what you did, to be kind of placed back in that situation and to be persevering, that's awesome.
That's important you did raise upon that, because it is very prevalent amongst actors and performers and dancers. I think a lot of that, which we don't really talk about, is the aspect of adrenaline. You go on stage and you have this fire inside of you, and everyone claps, and then you go home and it doesn't just go away, and then you can't sleep. So it's really easy to take substances or to go out and get a drink to relax, and also to be on stage and to put that kind of energy out there. It does do something to your mind after a while,
right?
In an adrenaline aspect. So you have to learn how to recreate joy, because after years I did Cirque. I did 1,000 shows. I left on the 1,000 show, or 999 or something like that. 3,000 people every day are clapping at you, you actually get used to that, and it doesn't make you feel good anymore. And I know
Right.
that sounds crazy, but that's called tolerance. So you need something else to kind of feel good again. So a lot of being in recovery is about relearning what joy is and all that.
Well, obviously, here's the book here if you want to hold it up
I
so
would love
people can
to.
see. Um, I'm telling you, not one person will not be affected by this book. I don't care how old you are, how far gone you are, so to speak, or if you're just in the beginning. Read this book. Be inspired by this man who has overcome so much. And yes, look at him as an icon, but not so much that there's a pressure to be. Do you feel that pressure? That
No,
no.
no, because I was really authentic. I mean, it's not fake. It's sort of like, I mean, it's a book of some of my most embarrassing moments.
But people have, I'm sure there are dozens and dozens of people who look up to you for being as candid as you were, for going through what you went through, and for pulling yourself up from the darkest days that anyone can literally have. I mean, I literally can't say it enough. Go buy the book. It is worth every penny. And you said you were writing a new book, so
I am.
everybody look forward to that when it comes out. And really appreciate you sitting down and taking the time with me.
Thank you.
You're an inspiration, and will be to many people. Have a great day.
Thank you.